Hey guys, happy Valentine's Day. So my name is Delilah.
It's Mike.
And we are Meet the Mavs. So because today is Valentine's Day, we wanted for our first video to post today. Today's Valentine's Day. We wanted to be able to spread some love, and we wanted to just kind of tell you guys how we met. So Michael and I are married, and we have known each other for about
23 years.
About 23 years for sure. And let me see, how did we met? You want to start?
We're about 12 years old. Actually moved across the street from her. My grandmother did, and I was staying with her at the time. So yeah, we were 12. I used to remember seeing her all the time, barefooted, black feet.
Wait. I mean, let me clarify what you mean.
There's no clarifying. It's just as I said.
Hold on. Because I was a tomboy, so I played outside all the time. It did not matter
Which is one of the things that I liked about her.
If I could not find my shoes, I didn't care. I was going outside, and that's where the black feet came from. Yeah. My hair was crazy. I do remember that. I remember being a huge tomboy, sometimes with no shoes. Just the very extreme of a tomboy. That was me.
Yeah, I like that she could catch a football. Lived across the street from her for years. My older sister actually lived also across the street from her, so we'd always just see each other all the time. So my little infatuation for her just grew, through the years, because I always saw her. She was always cool, down to earth. She was just like one of my bros, real tomboy, that she said. She was just down for everything. And like I said, time grew by, so I did start, like her even more as we grew older. And
wait, so let's pause real quick. What, other than me being, real cool and everything, what else? It's just, and the reason why I ask is because, and I've asked him this before, is because my cousin was, to me, the prettier one and things like that. And I was like, you didn't like her? He's like, no, I liked you. I guess it's just because I was the cool one, I guess.
Yeah, basically. But like I said, yeah, you might feel like she was prettier. To me, she wasn't. She couldn't catch a football. Like I said, she was just more fun to be around with, and I enjoyed it, growing up. And, we just got older, still know each other. But as we did get older, we did separate. I moved out, from the neighborhood. And but we still kept in contact through the years. I think we actually, when did we run back into each other again?
In 2008, we ran into each other. And that was
pretty intense.
That was intense.
Yeah, it was.
Because we had not seen each other from 2008. Now let's slow down a little bit. Since 2008, when we saw each other, we had not seen each other prior to that.
About 8 years.
8 years. Yeah. 8 years.
And before that, though, we did kind of get together, for a little while, for a few months. Actually, I think about 6 months, we actually kind of dated. And actually, so we were a boyfriend and girlfriend, but they said, we kind of grew apart, because not so much grew apart, but I actually moved, so we kind of lost physical contact with each other and got older through the years. But back fast forward to 2008, we did come across each other again, and it was pretty intense. For myself, I realized that I still like this girl, and it was like, man, these years flew by, and of course, she dated, I've dated, and it was still the same to me. It was like, this is still the Delilah that I liked, and it was crazy. Brought back a bunch of memories, and even after we met, after that day, it just lingered with me, and I was like, man, I really do love this girl. It was just obvious that I loved her. It wasn't like, because now being older, I understood what love was, and yeah, man, that for me, that's what it was. For you?
Yeah, for me, it's the same thing. To be honest, I knew I loved him when we were teenagers, when we were dating and we were teenagers, because he was so different from any other guy that I had known as a friend or as a puppy love or boyfriend or whatever. He was really, just really kind. He was a gentleman. He was just, when you, ladies, I know that there's some ladies out there that their parents or grandparents or father or mother had told them the way that they treat their mother is the way they'll treat you. Or what was the other saying that and so the other one I remember that my grandmother had told me was, and even my dad, you know, when I was younger, a little girl, he would say, you know, find someone who treats you like a princess or like a queen. And, you know, a lot of fathers, they tell their daughters that they want them to find somebody who treats them and puts them on a pedestal. And at a young age, we were 16, 17, he was so sweet, guys. He was so sweet. And so I was like, oh, he's just, that's what I was drawn to. Just, you know, his demeanor and the way he carried himself. He was just really mature for his age, and we're the same age. He's we joke around a lot that he's older, or he'll say that I'm older, but he's only a few months older than me.
A couple. But that goes to say that I really owe that to my grandmother and my aunt, who actually raised me. And, you know, they always instilled to me, like, always respect women. And they always said that respect to women starts with the women in your family. So that's how I was always raised. And therefore, you know, she was no different. You know, I respected her as, you know, as a woman first. And, you know, that just never changes. You know, I respect the women in my life. I love them. And that'll never change. I'm real big on respect. So even at a young age, those morals was instilled to me, inside of me. So, you know, just how it was. And I, you know, like she said, she really digged it.
So yeah, like as he stated, he had moved away, and you know, we lived across the street from each other. So my mom was super strict.
Yeah, she was. It was like 6:30 at night on Saturday. She had to come in. I was like, it's Saturday.
Yeah, my mom would be like, Delilah, it's time to come inside. I'm like, golly. We would just be on the porch talking, or on the tailgate of the truck or something. And so we had to write letters to each other. And so this was way before we had phones to be texting or anything. So we would write letters to each other. And he would put it in my mailbox, and I would get it and spend the whole day at school reading it and writing him back. And then whenever I would get home, I would give him my reply. And then he would, you know, reply back after we hung out for only like 30 minutes to an hour. And then once he replied back, he would put it in the mailbox the next day in the morning. And so that's how we kept in contact if my mom was being strict. When she was being strict. No, not even when or if she was.
Always.
And so we just, you know, stayed in contact like that. And he moved away. And when he moved away, it like broke my heart, because I just, honestly, to be very honest, I just had it in my mind, in my heart, that I really wasn't going to find anybody else like him. And he wasn't, you know, planning on coming back anytime soon. And, you know, I guess life moves on, right? And I started to tell myself, was it just puppy love? Were we really in love? Did I even know what love was, you know? So I started to question myself. I really wasn't sure. I knew what I felt, but then I was, you know, as I grew older and then I became an adult, I started to think, well, do I know what love is? And, you know, am I right? Or was I being stupid? Or am I being foolish, a foolish young girl? And so, when we did, well, let me pause real quick. That time that we were away from each other, when he wasn't around, you know, he dated and I dated, and yeah, I knew that it was love, and I knew that I wasn't going to find anybody else like that. But I did not really see our paths crossing again. He actually says otherwise. He says that he did.
I did. I tell her this day. I said I always knew that our paths would cross again, and that we would actually be together. I'm confident to say that because I don't know. I felt like we wasn't finished yet when we were younger, and it didn't matter who she was with, who I was with. I felt like it was a matter of time before we would have finished what we started and actually be together. That's just how I felt. She finds it hard to believe.
I know. I always tell them, swear. You really felt like that? You were married already. You don't have to, tell me a lie, or you don't have to win me over. He's like, no, that's how I really feel. I knew we were going to be together again. Aww. But, we got back together, or we saw each other. I'm sorry. So we saw each other in 2008, and talk about nerves. Talk about closure, talk about emotions. Like, have you ever been so nervous where your insides, like your intestines, your inside is shaking? I was shaking. I was like, oh, I'm so nervous to see him. And when I did see him, it was, wow. All these emotions just flooded me from when we were kids. Everything was it just overwhelmed me. I at that moment, he was in a relationship and I was in a relationship, but we really, no joke, guys, like, it was like,
don't get us wrong, so we were both in relationships. We didn't do anything where I guess that would be offensive to our relationship at the moment, to our partners. It was a lot of unspoken words, that a lot of hidden energy that was exposed between us, and reading between the lines, we both felt it. So like I said, we never did nothing physically or actually verbally to offend our partners at the time, or who we were with. Mm-hmm. It was just like it was said but not said, so to speak.
I'm glad I'm glad you touched on that. Yes, because that is completely the truth. We never insinuated to one another, like, dump your person so we could be together, or we never even said I love you. We never even said in a letter or face to face or anything, I miss you, I want to be with you, I can't, I'm waiting for you. We never said anything like that. Everything was strictly friendship. How are you doing? How's work? How's school? Like, how's family? Strictly platonic, strictly friendship, and that's it. And we, you know what? When people say that the best relationships they stem from when you are friends first, or best friends, I really honestly, when I would hear that, I was like, oh, it can stem from anything. But I couldn't agree, any more than that, because what we have now, the bond that we have, we constantly tell each other we're what?
We're best friends.
Best friends. Like, we are just for real best friends. We're so cool with each other. We get along. I would say we argue how many times a month?
No more than 5 times, if that, maybe 3
And how
times.
long do they last?
10 minutes, maybe.
Like, for real. And it'll be like little silly things, like bickering about something. Every once in a while it would be something serious, like we're transparent, maybe finances, or just frustration out of something or whatever, normal husband and wife things. But we apologize. We're very apologetic to each other. We apologize. We admit when we're wrong. We try to we always communicate. And we're just very open. We are very open in our communication. Like, everybody has a friend that's in a relationship where they're not, if they mention something, they get upset with, their spouse will get upset with them. Well, why did you mention that? Or why did you bring up that person? Or right. We never do that. Like, we literally can talk about anything, and that and the other person would be like just listening.
I mean, you hear it all the time. They say communication, is very
key.
important in a relationship, and it is. And thankfully we don't lack in that department. Like we communicate, whether it's for good or bad. And I tell her what's on my mind. She tells me what's on her mind. We deal with it, and that's what brought us a long way. That's why we grew so much as a couple, as a husband and wife. And that's what we stress, and I'm gonna stress that too. Communication is very key. Always be willing to communicate with your spouse. It'll take you a long way. No matter if it's something that she doesn't want to hear or he doesn't want to hear, it doesn't matter. Just at the end of the day, it's said, and you can't go back and say, "Well, you never told me how you felt." No, communicate. Therefore, there's no room for error on miscommunication. Well, you never told me how you felt. No, always communicate. And that's what brought us a long way in our relationship. We talk about everything and anything. It could be about racing rats. Crickets, fighting. It don't matter. We talk about anything and everything. So just keep that communication open with your spouse, and I guarantee it'll take you a long way.
So that was 2008 when we saw each other, and man, have you ever seen one of those movies where they look at each other and it's like they are saying a lot without really saying it? That's what we're like. We were talking about family and everything else, but the way we were looking at each other was like, "Oh, I want to tell you so much," and the other person was like, "Oh no, I want to hear you say it, and I want to tell you too." But we never crossed that line. We wanted to be respectful with our current situation at that moment, so we never crossed that line. But look how our timing was just like right on time. Our timeline. 2 years later, in 2010, December 2010, pinch poke yomiko.
That's second one. Do not.
So December, the relationship that I was in had ended, and I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna be single or whatever, and I hadn't been single in a long time, so I didn't really know where I was gonna start or what I was gonna do or whatever. So that relationship had ended, and 4 days later,
I moved back to Dallas, and I was actually staying with my aunt when I moved back, and of course we were still communicating. And my sister at the time was actually gave me Delilah's number, and we would text back and forth, and
because his sister and I remained friends the whole time.
We all grew up together, right?
Yeah, so like we had said, we lived across the street from each other, so we were always friends, and I was kind of, a feisty little one, so she was feisty too, and so we, hit it off, and then she stayed behind, and we, just continued to be friends and stuff. So I, would hear little things about how he was doing through her, but that was really it. She always remained very neutral and everything. But yeah, when he came home, that was 4 days later. Literally, I was like, well, look at here, I'm not in a relationship. Are you in a relationship? And he's like, I'm like, come here, lover boy. But
yeah, so it worked out for us.
It really did.
And it was amazing because it was like literally we picked up where we left off. It was like we were never apart. We never did separate or I left. It was just like we actually literally just picked up where we left off emotionally, and not physically because we were young, but especially emotionally with each other. It was like we didn't skip a beat. We just got together. We never looked back, But as any other couple, we did some bumps on the road, but we grew from it, learned from it, and we like this is where we at now. We got a great bond. Experiences also helped, strengthen our relationship. But yeah, it was December 14th, where we actually made it official. We got together. Actually lived with each other. And
who said I love you first?
Oh, I did. I did.
I knew. I just wanted him to say it. Yeah, I remember him saying I love you first. But when we were teenagers and when we were dating exclusively, I did make the first move for our first kiss. She
did.
Y'all want to know how I did it? I was so slick about it. I was so slick. We were going to the movies, right?
No, we were gonna go get some ice cream with my older sister.
Oh, Brahms, right?
Yeah, we were going to Brahms.
Yeah. So we were going to Brahms. I thought it was the movies, but no, we were going to Brahms, and we were in the back seat, and he was trying. Were you trying?
I was trying to, it was crowded back there, so I was trying to move my arm around her.
He was trying to be slick and put an arm around me, but when he did, it didn't even hurt. He barely even touched me, but his elbow kind of like hit my lip. And so I used that as a little segue. I was like, so you busted my lip, right? He's like, no, I didn't. I was like,
That's not how I said it.
How did you say it then?
I said, I'm sorry. I said, my bad. I didn't mean to hit you. And she was like, well, I'm gonna tell you what she said. She said, well, you can make it better. I was like, well, how's that? She goes, you can kiss it. And it was over after that. She got down. She was real slick about that. Not that it mattered. I mean,
he wanted to. He wanted to kiss me. But yeah. But that's. I mean, of course, this is a little fast forward version, but we definitely have had some great, amazing times. We just built a friendship. The very first thing is really what we did. We built a friendship, and I didn't see it really going anymore after being teenagers, but I am so grateful that we are together now. This dude here, I tell him, how many times a day do I probably tell him literally about 50 times a day.
Probably more.
That I love him. And I know somebody's going to say, man, that's annoying, that's clingy, but I don't say it like that. I just, it's very subtle, or it's in my actions. But I always make sure that he knows how much I appreciate him. He's just really an amazing, not only a husband, but he's an amazing person, just like off the bat. He has a huge heart. And so that's our little Valentine story.
No, wait. I mentioned 2 years after we got together, I actually proposed to her.
Oh, yeah.
I actually proposed to her. And it's hilarious how this went down. It was on Christmas Eve. We were staying in our apartment, and we decided to exchange gifts early because we were going to be with our family. Our family the next day, and it was hilarious. So I went and bought her a card, a small gift, and I got her a gift card to a shoe place.
Okay, wait, ladies. When you've been dating somebody and it's moving along, and you're like, okay, we're getting serious. We kind of talked about a marriage and stuff. So when is it gonna pop the question? I really was like, it's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen anytime soon. So this is why I was like anticipating it so much, because I just kind of felt it in my spirit that it was coming, and it's just like, And then what happened?
Right, so she gives me her gift, and I give her mine. I said, oh, there's one more gift. She beamed, she's smiling.
I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is it. I even went to go get my nails done because I had a feeling, or I thought, at the time I didn't know, but I thought it was going to happen.
And then, so she's like, okay. So I give her the gift card, and her face was priceless. She was like, oh, thank you.
He gives me, it was basically like a little prank or whatever. And he thought it was so funny. It's funny now.
It was.
But I was like really like, no, he didn't. He gives me a gift card to Payless. And so he has it behind his back, and he's like, are you ready? And he's amping me up, guys. He's like, are you ready? Are you ready? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I'm like, yeah. And then he goes like that, and it's a gift card to Payless. And as soon as I receive it, I mean, I was grateful and everything, but Payless, guys, come on. And I was like, okay. And looking back, I do remember him kind of chuckling, and I'm thinking, oh, it's so funny. But yes, and then, so the next day?
So the next day, Christmas. I'm very traditional. Next day, I got her family together. Asked her mom, her stepdad, and her father. Actually asked her stepdad because he played a big part of raising her as well. And so did her dad. I asked her dad first if I could, tell him how I felt, and I was traditional, and I asked him, for his daughter for hand in marriage, which meant the world to him. But it came with some cautious words from him, and I'll never forget it. And he's like, "You sure you want to do this?" And I was like,
"It's because, guys, when I said I'm feisty, like I'm not kidding."
She is, And he was like, "You sure you want to do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure."
He was probably like,
"What?
What you know that I don't know?"
He was like, "Mike, are you sure you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah." He says, "Okay, well, yes, you got my blessings. Good luck." I was like, "Okay." And then, I asked her stepfather as well. Said the same thing. Asked him. He's like, "Boy, you don't know what you're getting into."
Look, as feisty as I am, there has never been anybody to be able to control me in a good way, not like that, right? But like to handle me, to grow with me, to teach me, to adapt, all of the positive things. Like there has never been anybody. So he handles it really well, guys. So don't feel sorry for him.
So it was hilarious. I asked everybody, the men in her, in her life for permission to marry her. They all said yes after, I guess, trying to talk me out of it, so to speak. It's funny, but and then I asked her, her grandmother, in front of her grandmother and family that was there. Everybody that meant something to me was there. I asked for her hand in marriage. And she left me on my knee for about 20 minutes.
No, it wasn't.
It was about 20 minutes.
3 minutes, guys.
It was not 3. About 20 minutes without saying anything. She had her face covered. So I had to switch knees and wait for her to say something. I was down there that long. It was memorable, and I loved it. I wouldn't change anything about it.
Yeah, and when I see like videos on Instagram or Facebook of people proposing, and they do it very in an extravagant way, like helicopter on a mountain or what, I don't know. Man, I'm a big crybaby. I'm a big crybaby. So yeah, I cried. I'm like, I'm so happy for them, and I don't even know them. But I wouldn't change my proposal at all. It was not fancy. It was, like we said, in the living room of my grandmother's house. My grandmother at the time was bedridden, so she's passed, but she meant the world to me. And so to have her witness that was everything to me. And so he did it perfectly. He knew exactly what I wanted. And so that's how that happened. But yes, it was funny. We will be sharing our anniversaries in May. So we will be sharing our videos. My dad and I did a father-daughter dance.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So we'll be sharing some things at that time. Very hilarious. Because, to see my dad do the Dougie.
Stay tuned.
Oh my gosh. But we really thank you guys for joining us today. For our first video, and we definitely will get better at posting these.
Yeah, just bear with us.
Bear with us. But we just really wanted to showcase what a lot of people, and there's a lot of hashtags out there for love and all love and love wins and black love, papoose and Remy. But we really didn't feel like there was anybody out there that we know of, and there might be, but that we've seen that was really showcasing Latin love. We are 2 Latinos. So there was really nothing showcasing that, and we're not perfect, but we really, really do have a great relationship and marriage and friendship. And so
basically, we just want to let everybody know that if you feel like you can't find love, you can, just don't give up.
No.
And so if we can, inspire or help one person or a couple, that's enough for us. And that's really the reason why, kind of trying to, so it's like video our life, so to speak, to encourage others, just not to give up.
Mm-hmm.
And, just continue to find love, or love will find you. Just be patient.
So we will be sharing other videos, just our snippets and just our lives. We're goofy, guys. No, he's goofy, and I try to be witty. Sometimes when I'm up against him, I'm never gonna win. But when I'm by myself with somebody else, I mean, I got it. And he's like, dang, where you come up with that? But when I'm with him, no, he definitely knows. Yeah, he triumphs. But thank you guys, and happy Valentine's Day from us to you. And stay tuned for all of our other videos coming soon. Thank you. Bye.